This is the starting lineup. Here's your host, Carl Schoening.
Welcome into the starting lineup. I'm Carl Schoening, starting as your host and the voice coming through your speakers. Two-man starting lineup as usual with LG starting as the audio technician. The Roadrunners give the Longhorns everything they can handle on the baseball diamond. There could be some changes to the college football schedules. The Pistons return to form and the Lakers don't have enough firepower. But first, we are in San Antonio, Texas, so we got to talk Spurs. Game 2 between the San Antonio Spurs and the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. Spurs drop Game 1 on Monday night, 104-102. There's plenty to talk about in the fallout of that, but LG, I have to tell you, for the first time all season, I think this might be the first quote-unquote must-win game for San Antonio.
Yeah, I guess you could say it's a must-win game. I mean, technically, it's a best of 7, so it's not really a must-win game. But yeah, we want to be on top. The Spurs need to gain that momentum back, gain back home court advantage, and this is a must-win for momentum. Because I know people don't like that word, momentum, but yes, this is a must-win.
You got to give the Timberwolves a little bit more respect than maybe you gave the Portland Trailblazers. You look at how that series shook out, and the Spurs split the first 2 games at home in that series. So at bare minimum, the Spurs don't want to go to Minnesota down 0-2 because I get the feeling just the way this Timberwolves team is built, they can come away with a win at home, and thus makes tonight even more meaningful. I would almost say Game 3, it obviously was not, of the Portland series, was not a must-win game, and it felt sort of like the Spurs were playing with house money after they defeated the Blazers without Victor Wembanyama in that Game 3 of that series. This series is a little bit different. The Timberwolves are a much more experienced team, a much more talented team. I like Thiago Splitter a lot, don't get me wrong, but they're a better coach team, these Timberwolves. They've been there before. They've made it to back-to-back Western Conferences as a squad. So, Western Conference Finals, I should say. And this is not a team you want to take lightly and get down 0-2 in your first playoff series. There's a lot of adjustments that could be made. And I kind of want to start with the big fella, Victor Wembanyama. He goes 0 for 8 from 3 in that Game 1. And he knows that he needs to make some adjustments himself. He sees how the Timberwolves are going to guard him. He sees that he maybe, as he said after Game 1, he still trusts the Spurs, but he needs to figure out how he's going to change his energy on the offensive end. I think that might be code for Wemby's not going to be much of a shooter in this game. Granted, you're still going to see Wemby out on the perimeter quite a bit because it seemed like it was part of the Spurs' game plan to stretch the floor and pull Rudy Gobert away from the rim, which is something that very few centers have the ability to do in the NBA, that you have to respect them so much on the perimeter that the shot blocker can be taken away from the rim. So that is going to be an interesting little caveat. If the Spurs have Victor Wembanyama matched up with Rudy Gobert, they might still keep Wemby out on the perimeter, but it feels to me that it seems to be a very unique talent of Wemby to be able to mostly play on the perimeter and then shift to mostly playing inside, and that feels like what will be coming down for Wemby. And then on the other side, De'Aaron Fox, I think he has a bounce-back game tonight. Fox, I know people like to maybe say he has a bad game more often than he doesn't, but he took accountability after Game 1. He put it a lot on. A lot of Spurs took accountability, but Fox was one of the guys who really took accountability, talked about his turnovers, talked about his poor shooting, wanted to find a rhythm a little bit earlier. I think he does that here in Game 2 tonight, and it's hard to imagine that if you watch that game film back, you don't think that the Timberwolves stole that game. It felt very much like the only game that they might take in that series if you're a confident Spurs fan, because so many things went wrong for San Antonio. A poor three-point shooting night. They blew a late lead. They missed a potential game-winning shot. I'm very confident in the Spurs, but it still feels like this is a must-win game just to, as you were saying, reestablish some momentum as the Spurs have to Game 3 head into the tundra of Minnesota.
Yeah, the frozen tundra up there in Minnesota. The Spurs, yeah, they really do need to bounce back here, and they've been known to make key adjustments. Mitch Johnson, he went over the film yesterday. They had a practice yesterday, and the Spurs said they had a good film session, and there was rumors that Greg Popovich was actually in there watching film with them. So hopefully the guru of basketball, Coach Pop, gave them a little bit of pointers there. I mean, I got all the faith in Mitch Johnson as well. And I think the Spurs will make the necessary adjustments on the offensive end. They were pretty good on defense. I'm not going to say they were bad on defense last game, but the offensive end just needs to be changed a little bit, needs to be tweaked a little bit. Wembanyama probably shouldn't be taking 8 3-pointers, and Fox just needs to find his game. He can be a streaky shooter sometimes, and he's been known to be the scapegoat all season long for Spurs fans. And he tends to react to that. I feel like he'll come back strong.
I'm not going to say that Fox hears that, but you have to realize that we live in a 21st century with these guys who are millennial/Gen Z. So they're going to be on social media and hear all this noise. And Fox maybe does seem to be someone who sees that and reacts accordingly, not in any kind of negative way, in a way of positivity. And, hey, I'm going to bounce back. He takes his accountability. And then next thing you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a 30-point game tonight. Wemby was an interesting one going 0 for 8 because if you remember when he came back from that concussion protocol in Game 4 against the Trailblazers, he started off that game 1 for 4 from behind the three-point line. That was what he finished with at the end of the first 24 minutes. So at halftime, he was 1 for 4 from 3. At the end of the game, he had not shot another 3. He decided to just go inside and be a dominant presence. That's where I feel like maybe the shift will happen for the Spurs. But to your point, the Spurs played pretty good defense, and a lot of that was because it was a physical, grinded-out game. And I touched on this yesterday's show, and we clipped it and put it on our social media. A lot of people agreed. Some people disagreed. But Steph Castle was the only one who didn't seem to get the "we're playing physical tonight" whistle. It seemed very much like I said yesterday, the officials made the 50-50 calls against Castle, and it led to him fouling out. You have some sound from yesterday's media availability with Steph Castle where he touched on this. Let's hear what Steph had to say.
I mean, it's tough. The other team's playing as physical as us, I feel like. And, sometimes the calls just don't go our way. But, I can't change who I am defensively just based on how the refs are calling the game. But, it's frustrating, but it's just unlucky. So,
like Mitch was saying last night, they're going to have you guard a lot of guys that are going to be very aggressive, and they want you to be aggressive with them. There's going to be some fouls. Come with the territory there.
Yeah. They have a lot of good one-on-one scores. So, me not being able to be physical on them is just putting us at a, instant disadvantage. So, I don't know really what else to do other than just keep playing how I've been playing. But, hopefully they call it even.
Did you feel that they allowed a lot, or was last night, you think, more closely contended than some of the Portland games were as far as the way it was officiated?
I feel like on their end, they pushed us off our spots a lot, were physical with us at the rim. I feel like we didn't get as many calls as they did, but I feel like the ones that they did call against us were kind of inconsistent. So, we can't really do much but be ourselves defensively. So, we're not going to change that because of, how they're calling the game.
That all sounded like sort of a frustrated Steph Castle. In the Spurs overall, I guess good positive news is that when Steph Castle left the game, Dylan Harper didn't miss a beat. So as much as Steph Castle is very much an important part of the Spurs philosophy and game plan, Dylan Harper doesn't drop off that much, if at all, really, in terms of his production. And Harper was a pretty good player, but in Game 1. But I will say that Steph Castle is the Spurs' perimeter defensive ace, and you expect him to play physical defense like he plays all year. And we talked about it yesterday. Some of those fouls that were called on him were probably not even really fouls on Steph Castle when you look back at the tape. There was one where he was just trying to establish position against Julius Randle. Randle was trying to establish position. It looked like Randle shoved Castle in his back, and the Spurs didn't have a challenge, and that was because they tried to challenge the Steph Castle foul earlier, which was a 50-50 call, and it went against the Spurs as they kept the call the same on the court as called a foul against Castle. So that will be something I would be surprised if Castle gets in foul trouble tonight. There's a little game that happens after the game where everybody sends their grievances of how the game was officiated to the NBA. There's plenty of tape to say, hey, we feel like you missed this call, that call, and the other. This was something that maybe should have been reviewed for a flagrant, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that came out yesterday was that Chris Finch, the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, said that he thought that there were at least 4 goaltending calls on Victor Wembanyama, and I looked through all 12 of the blocks in slow motion. There was definitely one, the second block of the game, 30 seconds into it, Wemby in transition did block a shot after it hit the backboard. That is considered goaltending as that is on its way down. There was another one where Naz Reid put up a high arcing shot. It looked like the apex to me, definitely not fully on its way down. If it was on its way down, it was fraction of a second, which you can't necessarily always be mad at the officials for missing goaltending calls that close. But otherwise, that was a very legitimate 12-block game for Victor Wembanyama. And maybe one of the blocks should have gone to Harrison Barnes, where it looked like Barnes blocked it, and then it hit the backboard, and then Wemby made sure that it wasn't going to get anywhere near the rim. Maybe they credited Wemby to that block, and it should have been a Harrison Barnes block. So if you take out that you didn't see Barnes initially touch it, it looked like it was a shot attempt that went off the backboard that Wemby blocked. But the chess game of how the game is going to be officiated in game 2 probably started in those press conferences, in these ensuing press conferences after the game, that we'll see how it changes. But a physical game very much plays to the Minnesota Timberwolves brand of style. And if it's a physical game, it's probably going to be a close game. If the Spurs are allowed to put Wemby on the block and he draws some fouls, gets to the free throw line and gets the opponent's big man in big trouble, like whether it's Gobert or Julius Randle, whoever might be guarding Wemby into foul trouble, then that might be something to keep an eye on into tonight's game, as I think it might be time for Wemby to sort of force himself into the offense, as well as the Spurs have a blessing that Wemby could some nights be the 7th most field goal attempts in the lineup. I don't think that tonight is one of those games where you allow the flow of the offense to say, hey, we'll just be dangerous with all 7-8 of our potential scorers that could score more points than Wemby. I feel like this is a night where you get Wemby going early, you get Wemby going often, and you see if he can maybe drop 40. It was interesting decision. Granted, not the best shooting night for Victor Wembanyama, but only 11 points. I think that this is going to be a shift of the series tonight when the Spurs get Wembanyama a bit more involved, and that'll be something to keep an eye on. D. Fox probably needs to get a little bit more involved as well, and hopefully Steph Castle does not get whistled for any cheap 50-50 calls that should maybe not be called in the flow of the offense or had the game, what have you. And I think that Victor Wembanyama and Steph Castle, Area 51, have a big game tonight in what I still consider a must-win game for San Antonio. LG, you're going to be there tonight, right?
I will be there tonight, yes. I will be operating the camera up there near the HEB fan zone, up in the rafters with the real fans.
Well, is it the box camera that
it is?
You don't
yes.
get your steps in tonight then?
No, I get to sit down. It's kind of nice sometimes, and I will be. I still will pick out some fans out of the crowd there because I have a amazing zoom lens, and I could zoom in all the way across the arena and see what you're eating.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No, careful. That lens costs more than either of us.
Oh.
That's a very expensive lens.
And a heavy one, too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You have to tear down after the games, don't you?
That's correct, because they're headed to Minnesota after this.
Yeah, so Game 3, we play every other day at this point. Game 3 is going to be scheduled for, what's today? Wednesday? So Friday. Yeah, LG, we got to talk about this next segment. Waking up early in the morning is throwing me off on all of the things that are normal thought processes, such as what day is it? However, we do know it is Spurs Day, Game 2 tonight, 8:30 tip-off from the Frost Bank Center. I have not looked to see where you can watch it on TV, but I know that you can listen to it on WOAI. Dan Weiss and I. Oh, ESPN tonight?
Yep.
ESPN tonight. So Dan Weiss and I will be on the radio broadcast, 8 o'clock Spurs radio game night, 8:30-ish tip. Really, to a little behind-the-scenes curtain, 8:30 is when the national anthem starts, and then they go through their process. I believe 8:42 is when the actual scheduled tip time is tonight. So talk about that and a lot more, as there's plenty more Spurs talk to go on. Kendrick Perkins had some things to say that I just want to address. It's okay. I do want to touch on UTSA playing some baseball in Austin against the Longhorns. But first, when we come back, last night, the Thunder were just too much to handle for the Lakers, and the Pistons made a return to their regular season form that makes me think they are contenders. Talk about all of that on the starting lineup here on Ticket 760. Black Swan Yoga is a donation-based yoga studio with 3 locations in San Antonio. There's no pressure for a membership of any kind. Just drop in when you can, pay what you can, come as you are, and give yoga a shot. Classes start at 6 a.m. and go until 8:30 p.m. on weekdays, with varieties such as hot and room temperature classes, beginner, chill, power, and all-level flow classes. I'm almost there every day, and it's a great way to relax or get a good workout in. Give yoga a shot at Black Swan Yoga San Antonio. Creating content to promote your brand is a 24/7 hustle these days. If you're looking for someone to professionally provide videos, photos, and more, reach out for a free consultation. Hi, I'm Carl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of the starting lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer professional live streaming, podcast recording, photos, videos, social media strategy, and more. To learn more, shoot me an email at carlschoeningmedia@gmail.com, or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirCarl. That's Carl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
Got a DWI? Don't wait. What you do next matters. Not all classes are accepted by Texas courts. Before you pay, make sure it's state approved and live. Alamo Center has helped Texans for over 30 years complete their court-ordered DWI and drug education classes live and instructor-led. No pre-recorded videos. Real instructors, real support. Classes fill up fast. Secure your spot today. Speak to a live person now. Call 210-824-5537 or visit alamocenter.org. Alamo Center. The road back starts here.
Before they can cheer your name, you've got to make one. At Spurs Sports Academy, we're helping young athletes do just that with year-round basketball camps and tournaments for kids of all ages. It's all part of our mission of inspiring lifelong memories and building character through competition. To find your way to play, text HOOPS to 210-444-5021. Or head over to spurs.com/sportsacademy.
With iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners trust their favorite radio host's product recommendations. If you manage a business or need to drive sales, that trust goes a long way. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com. Again, that's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Here in Texas, we know that trust is earned and reputation matters. Since 1993, Thomas J. Henry dedicated himself to building a firm that injured clients can trust and that Texans can respect. A firm where no defendant is too big and no case is too small. Backed by a track record of success and a commitment to our clients, Thomas J. Henry remains the name you can depend on if you have been injured. Trust the firm that stands for you. Trust Thomas J. Henry. San Antonio, Texas.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
If you care about predictions and props, right now, it's all about playoff pressure from the hardwood to the ice. BetOnline has always been the home of real sports wagering deep markets, sharp odds, and player props built for real fans. Basketball playoffs are heating up, stars taking over, series swinging on a single shot. And in hockey, it's all speed, grit, and sudden death moments where one goal changes everything. BetOnline delivers live betting and in-game odds that move with every bucket, every breakaway, every goal. BetOnline. Bet on.
Hey San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
A win is a win. A win is a win. I don't care what y'all say. Yep, that's me, Clifford Taylor IV. And on my new podcast, The Clifford Show, I'm bringing you raw, unfiltered conversations with your favorite athletes, creators, and media personalities. Each week, we'll talk about sports, life, mental health, purpose, and even music. The Clifford Show is not just a conversation, it's a celebration.
Search The Clifford Show on iHeartRadio, America's #1 podcast network, and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
Silver and black, and no excuses. Start your day with a starting lineup.
We appreciate you starting your day with the starting lineup. I'm your host, Carl Schoening. Silver and black will have no excuses tonight, as it is what I am sort of deeming the first must-win game of the regular season. LG also making things happen. LG, how can they get in touch with the show?
You can hit us up on Twitter at TSL760. We are streaming live on YouTube right now at Starting Lineup Live on YouTube. That is also the handle for all the other social medias at Starting Lineup Live. And you could also tip this thing if you feel like donating to the show. You can hit us up at buymeacoffee.com/thestartinglineup. And we appreciate all your contributions to make this program a better thing for your morning drive.
You know, I really appreciate the Buy Me a Coffee people, because I will use that for coffee. I have my energy drink here, but I did buy a couple coffees last night at the grocery store. I ended up going to, I won't name names of grocery stores, but ended up going to the grocery store that doesn't carry the instant coffee that I usually drink every morning. I'm out of my instant coffee, and it's such a hassle where I live on Blanco and 1604 to get on the other side. So
that construction over there is crazy.
Yeah, the construction's terrible. So I just decided not to even deal with that last night. I grabbed some quick in a can coffees that were cold brew, and
those are strong.
And I'm around 400 milligrams of caffeine deep right now.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've had nothing. I did have a matcha latte yesterday. But no, I have no caffeine flowing through my veins this morning.
I have an energy drink staring right at me, and just the natural habit is for me to pop it open right now. However, I will say that I feel pretty fine. I will definitely be opening that energy drink. If you're watching the YouTube stream, you certainly know what my energy drink of preference is. But again, no free plugs. We gotta get some sponsors up in here. There are definitely energy drinks that I will allow you to pay me money, but I won't necessarily drink them. So that's an interesting, ethics thing that I have to worry about right there.
I would like an yerba mate sponsor. I would drink that. Yeah. A lot of caffeine in that too.
The other thing about these morning shows is it's crazy how when you wake up at 4 a.m., you think you have all the time in the world, and next thing you know, what you thought was only 10 minutes ends up being 25 minutes, and I'm rushing over here to the LG studios with about 15 minutes to spare, and it was probably closer to 10 this morning, but we've talked about this. If you don't hear from me at 5:40, I need you to panic, LG.
I was panicking a little bit here. You did roll into the studio 5 minutes before the top of the hour.
It was closer to 8 minutes before the top of the hour, or at least when I parked parked my car. But I digress. It is one of those things where we appreciate everybody who interacts with the show any which way that you can. We do talk plenty of NBA in here, and Last night there were two games in the Eastern Conference and the West. One game in the Eastern Conference, one game in the Western Conference, two games in the NBA playoffs. Start off with the simple one to diagnose. Oklahoma City Thunder take a 1-0 series lead over the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka Doncic keeps teasing us that he might be able to come back. Not Luka personally, just the general news rumors that float around Luka Doncic. I don't know if a 75% Luka makes a difference in this series. It really feels like the Oklahoma City Thunder just have too much talent. You got to give all the fight in the world to the Los Angeles Lakers. That's the award they get for just fighting hard. But Oklahoma City, it just felt like it was too easy for them. And when they are playing in Oklahoma City, it is just a very favorable whistle to them. It's a very intimidating crowd. They ride off of that energy. SGA was getting all of the calls you could imagine. However, I will say that SGA did only get to the free throw line 3 times. So the foul merchant, as part of only a 12 free throw evening for the Oklahoma City Thunder, he didn't necessarily get to the free throw line, but he did draw quite a bit of fouls. Chet Holmgren probably had the best night of any Oklahoma City Thunder player with 24 points and 12 rebounds with 3 blocks. And that's something that I think will just be a trend throughout this entire series. As much as DeAndre Ayton has improved in his role, Ayton is just not really a match for a player like a Chet Holmgren, much more athletic, and the Thunder know how to use him, and he is sort of a mini Wemby. He does a lot of things out there, very similar to Wemby, not at the same level as Victor Wembanyama. Rui Hachimura had a good game, but you need Rui to really play above his average, and LeBron James continues his GOAT argument with 27 points, 12 of 17 shooting, 3 of 6 from behind the three-point line, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. And really, LeBron, I can't see him playing much better than he's playing. He is 41 years old, probably still one of the top 10 players in the NBA, very much a modern marvel, but he needs a Luka Doncic out there with him for him to be able to play better than he played last night. And then Austin Reeves, I will say he had the worst game of any Laker, finishes 3 of 16 from the field, only 8 points and 0 of 5 from behind the three-point line. It's one of those things where even if Reeves had a decent game, who is rushing back from his injury, as I think he was supposed to be out for another week or two. The only reason Reeves is playing is because it's the playoffs. Even if he had a better game, it just still feels like Oklahoma City is too much to handle for the Lakers. Also, a bit of a gruesome injury. I looked away. I didn't want to see it. Jared Vanderbilt dislocated his pinky, and he is doubtful for the rest of the series. Vanderbilt, he's a rotation player. He'll bring some solid plays every now and then, but he is not the difference maker in this series. But it just adds a little bit of insult to injury in this particular game one where the Lakers, they tried their best, but the Thunder kept them at arm's length. And in the third and fourth quarter, they really started to pull away despite everything LeBron James Sr. could do. It seemed like the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win that one in probably 4 games, maybe 5. And if there's any Luka magic left to be had this season, it could go 6. But just not seeing any real path for the Lakers to win more than 2 games in this series, and that is being very generous, and also assuming that their MVP candidate, Luka Doncic, comes back. And that's almost why, LG, I feel like for the Spurs, this is a must-win game 2 tonight, because you don't want the series against the Timberwolves to go any longer than 6 games. You'd prefer that to be a 5-game series for the Spurs as well. But if it ends up going 7, you have to assume that the Thunder are going to have a week's rest of watching the Spurs and the Timberwolves for their next opponent in the Western Conference Finals. And this is why you go out and get the 1 seed. OKC has had a much easier path to the Western Conference Finals. I know a lot of people said that the Spurs probably should have tried to send the Denver Nuggets onto the side of the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoff bracket, but Nuggets end up losing in the first round anyway. Who's to say that the Lakers don't somehow figure out a way to beat the Nuggets? So I do think that the the second round path here for the Thunder to the Western Conference Finals is much easier because the Lakers are just so banged up without LeBron or without Luka Doncic, and with Austin Reeves not hobbling out there, but certainly not at 100% in terms of his general offensive efficiency. So we will talk a little more Spurs a little bit later, but I think that's really all I have to say about the Oklahoma City Thunder, except I do want to say Daryl Morey, why? Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers, made a fairly controversial trade. He got good value, but he allowed Jared McCain to go to the Oklahoma City Thunder at the trade deadline, and Jared McCain, trying to find him here in my stat sheet. There he is at the very bottom. 12 points in 15 minutes on 4 of 7 shooting from the field. Knocked down 4 of his 5 3-point shots. I thought that he very much was the guy who put this game away for the Thunder. And it just shows that Sam Presti is such a smart, savvy GM. Nick Nurse, for whatever reason, had Jared McCain in his doghouse in Philadelphia, and then seeing an opportunity to get below the luxury tax after the Paul George suspension was announced, Jared McCain was shipped off to Oklahoma City, and he has been sort of a X factor that I would say makes the Thunder the favorite to win the NBA championship. They probably were already anyway, but that just makes them a little bit harder, especially when he's playing like that. So Jared McCain, very much a popular player in the TikTok world and on the Philadelphia 76ers. They hated to see him go, and he is a major contributor to the Oklahoma City Thunder and their success last night and probably throughout the entire postseason, as the Thunder look like they're going to cruise through that series if last night was any indication at all. I do want to touch on the Cavaliers and the Pistons as we're up against it right now. We will talk Cavs, Pistons on the other side, and few other things in store. The NCAA football season might see some tweaks in their schedule. Bryson DeChambeau is copying us, LG. We need to talk about that one, as the golfer has a backup plan if Live Golf ends, and UTSA gives the Texas Longhorns everything they can handle and a little bit more on the diamond. Longhorns come away with the win, but I do got to talk about Pat Hallmark's ball club not showing any fight here on the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
On May 6, 2013, the Spurs outlasted the Golden State Warriors 129-127 in double overtime in Game 1 of the Western Conference Semifinals at the Frost Bank Center. Manu Ginobili hit the go-ahead and eventual game-winning three with 1.2 seconds left in the second overtime to cap off a furious fourth-quarter comeback in which the Spurs rallied from down 16 with 4 minutes to play. Tony Parker finished with 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. That's today's Spurs Flashback. I'm Dan White.
Doja Cat, Ma Vie World Tour.
I said what I said. I don't
live in San Antonio. Doja Cat performing at Frost Bank Center Friday, November 6, 2026. Get tickets now at dojacat.com.
If you're not digging the content you created on your phone, maybe it's time to upgrade to a content specialist who can make your video sharp and your audio clear. Hi, I'm Carl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of The Starting Lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer social media content creation to help your brand grow online using professional photo, video, and audio equipment. To learn more, shoot me an email at carlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirCarl. That's Carl with a K. Let's level up your content together. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The Starting Lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included. Content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with The Starting Lineup on Ticket 760.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in San Antonio. Call 726-202-1300. Visit Lance, DRURY law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
At EasyCater, we believe every workday gets better with great food. The 9 a.m. staff meeting? How about breakfast burritos and lots of coffee? Big client presentation at noon? Let's do Mediterranean bowls. Accounting's gotta work late. Keep them pepped up with spicy noodles. With EasyCater, you get a huge variety of favorite restaurants with tools to help meet dietary needs and stay on budget, all on one platform. So make every workday better with EasyCater. Start an order at easycater.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Thanks. Is oil marked down?
Save up to $15 when you buy 5 quarts and a filter.
And fuel treatment?
2 for $9 on Lucas.
Brake pads?
Marked down to free.
Free?
Get free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 Duralast rotors.
That's several markdowns.
For many more miles.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If you're looking for a new way to burn calories, get some simple movement in, or just relax, I have to tell you about Black Swan Yoga San Antonio. There are 3 Black Swan Yoga studios in San Antonio at Downtown, The Vineyard, and newly opened in Alamo Ranch. Try their fire and ice for a quick workout followed by a relaxing stretch, or get a combination of cardio and strength training in their new Swan Sculpt classes. Black Swan Yoga is a donation-based studio, so no need to sign a membership or pay an expensive drop-in fee. Just swing by and give yoga a try.
In this edition of the Marketers Report, Chris Eppel, head of marketing for the Americas, Harman JBL, weighs in on the importance of audio.
It's been amazing over the last couple of years to see what's happened with audio. We've doubled our investment in the last 2 years in the audio space. We find it to be highly critical to our business.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia connects marketers to the audiences, live conversations, and trusted influencers you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
The takes are hot, even before the sun comes out. Back to the starting lineup.
Sun is not out yet, or at least from my perspective out here in LG Studios. I'm Carl Schoening, the host of the starting lineup. LG, making everything happen, whether you're watching us on YouTube, listening to us on the radio. We appreciate you guys tuning into Ticket 760 or watching our YouTube page. You can reach out to me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at On Air Carl. That is Carl with a K, K-A-R-L. So at On Air Carl. He is at DJLG210. LG, any other ways that would be best for them to get involved in this show? Any comments that we have yet this morning?
None yet, but you can jump in the comments on YouTube live if you want us to respond there. We are at Starting Lineup Live on YouTube. You could jump into our Twitter feed, our X feed at TSL760. And after the fact, you can hit us up on Instagram and Facebook and all the other social medias that there are out there that are popular.
I'll have to try and fight through all of the noise, because now that it's the NBA playoffs, people are very passionate. I make some tweets about some things, and I get flooded with people from mostly Minnesota, or at least Timberwolves fans, trying to argue the point. And one of the things that I really don't get is something on the internet, LG, is where I say something, and even though it's maybe semi-related, it goes to another direction that really is unrelated at its core. And I don't even want to engage in those conversations at that point. It's like, I love pancakes, and someone's like, but what about waffles? It's like,
That's true. Yeah,
I guess that's a breakfast food, so I'm talking about on Twitter yesterday, I was defending Victor Wembanyama's 12-block game and talking about how it looked like one was clearly a goaltend that the refs missed, but it happened so quickly that it's sort of understandable that they missed it. It was the second block of the game. It was in a fast break, and it was so quick off the backboard that I did have to watch it again in replay. I might have noticed it in real time, but it's hard to always see those things in real time with as fast as these guys are going. And goaltends are fairly black and white. Is the ball on the way down? Is it at its apex? Is it on the way up? Is it off of the glass? And all of these Timberwolves fans, after I say that, you know, most of those blocks were cleaned by Wemby, start talking about fouls. And it was a very physical game. A lot was let slide. There was a play where Naz Reid, in full sprint, pushed Victor Wembanyama, who was also in full sprint. That's a very dangerous play. And it's not only dangerous for Wemby, Naz Reid pushed Victor Wembanyama into his star player, Anthony Edwards. If Wemby maybe saw that, Wemby's such a good sportsman, but if there was an ounce of him being dirty, Wemby could have maybe taken that momentum of being pushed and barreled into Anthony Edwards, and instead he avoided him and he went flying across the court. But he was very close to just rolling right into Ant Edwards, and that would have been on Naz Reid had that been the result of the play. Instead, it's just something that may or may not be something you see on the internet if you're on any of those social medias. But a freshman B team coach that would have preferred to have coached football summed it up to me very well, LG, when I was wondering the difference between a foul and a non-foul, and I thought that I knew more about basketball than him, and I may or may not have, but he said it was a foul because the ref called it a foul. And as soon as he said that, in a weird way, something switched to me where it's like, yeah, you're right. If the ref doesn't call the foul, or if he does call the foul, there's really no changing it. There's obviously in the NBA the review ability, and then even then you'll see guys who think that they didn't foul ask for the review, and their coaches just basically say, no, we're not going to waste a challenge on that potential foul right there to overturn something like that. So I will say that the introduction of the challenge has been a very interesting thing where now all of a sudden, instead of being mad at the ref, the players in disbelief start twirling their finger towards their bench. So now a lot less aggression is being directed towards the refs. Very, very interesting change in the world of basketball, how I think that that's actually good, because I wasn't a fan of players, even if they had a case, complaining to the refs every play like they sort of were before the challenge was introduced.
Well, I think they still complain to the refs first. First, they go to the refs, and then they're like, oh, that's not going to work. Let me look at the bench real quick. Nope, challenge that.
It's not as demonstrative. Well, Draymond Green's probably an exception. In fact, I want to get on Draymond Green and Austin Reeves a little bit, but that might be a topic for tomorrow, if anything develops in that side of things. If you know, you know. But I don't think players are as pleading their case as long and as demonstratively to the refs, though. No,
it kind of gives them verification, because if the bench doesn't want to challenge it, then oh yeah, maybe I did foul that guy.
Yeah, and then I am not a fan of using your challenge on 50-50 calls unless it is pivotal in late games. So not saying that he was wrong to have challenged it, because I sort of understood why Mitch Johnson used his challenge in game one to save Steph from a foul that looked like it was an offensive foul on Jaden McDaniels, and they ended up continuing to call it a defensive foul on Steph. But there's confirmation bias there for the officials. They need to overturn their own call, and if they see something that confirms what they saw in something like a foul, then you really do have to save your challenge there if you can, because while you might see something, there's still enough of what the officials saw in the tape to overturn it and or to keep it the call on the court. And that's where you have to really be careful with those fouls. And like you said, sometimes the bench is just like, hey, it looked like a foul from our end. We get why you might be upset, but
I just don't like how it stops down the game and it takes away the momentum and the flow of the game, because sometimes they spend a really long time looking at those challenge replays. And there's a replay center in Secaucus, New Jersey. Why can't they just say, oh, there's a challenge, somebody reviews it over there real quick, and it's like, hey, somebody unbiased, they're not a part of the game, they're just there to review the video. They could easily do it a lot quicker than this system they have in place.
That is actually how they do it. All of the reviews go through Secaucus and then are relayed back to the court. Well, sometimes the refs involved, they're involved in the conversation. You have to look at it as this is almost like an academic breakdown of the play. So you're right. Sometimes it takes what feels like 5 minutes. It's probably really only 2.5 or 3, but it needs to be clear and obvious sometimes to be overturned. And if you're, especially in football feels like the same way, where it's like, if it's not clear and obvious after 2 minutes of looking at a play that probably only took 2 seconds where you really need to review it, maybe 5 seconds at the most, then we play on. You don't overturn it. But there has to be a way to expedite things, but I think that they want to make sure that they don't rush it and then realize that they got the review wrong. So in a way, I appreciate that, but it was, if you remember, there used to be a point where the officials initiated reviews, and there was this great game. I can't remember who the Suns were playing, but the Suns were playing a phenomenal playoff game, and I kid you not, the last 5 minutes felt like it took half an hour because they were reviewing things like in or out of bounds on which player and team. And they've taken that out to where the officials do not initiate reviews as much.
I just feel like it's a whole pomp and circumstance thing. They gather up by the table, then we got to cut to the ref cam, then we got to have this long explanation of it. They just should have a guy that's like, sitting there at the scoring table.
That seems ideal, but I also think that they want to make sure they get those challenges right. And if they rush them, then and somebody says, "Hey, I'd like to see why." In fact, there's one reviewed in college football. Every play is reviewed, and there's one play that was reviewed so quickly, and then after the game, everybody saw that they reviewed it too quickly, and it was a turnover in the national championship semifinal game between Incarnate Word and North Dakota State, and it was a fumble recovered by the Cardinals, and it would have given them a chance to win the game. Instead, they don't overturn it as they should have, and the Bison go down and score, and North Dakota State goes to the national championship and UIW doesn't. But that's where I do think sometimes you don't want to rush those challenges. Just like how I don't want to rush the next topic, LG. Decent enough segue there. If you are a fan of the Cavaliers or Pistons or me talking basketball in general, I don't want to rush last night's 111-101 victory for the Pistons, but I will say I think Detroit is back. They have alleviated some fears despite it only being a 10-point win. I really liked what I saw from the Pistons. I'll tell you why on the other side of this break in the final segment of the first hour of the starting lineup here on Ticket 760.
Hey, San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned in to Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Hey guys, this is Jamie from Black Swan Yoga San Antonio, and in honor of Appreciation Week, we are offering free yoga classes for teachers and nurses at Black Swan Yoga all week long till Sunday. This is our small way of saying thank you for the dedication and compassion you bring to our community every day. Just drop by any of our 3 locations, downtown, the Vineyard, or Alamo Ranch with your medical badge or your school ID and enjoy your choice of class. Black Swan Yoga is donation-based, so if you're not a nurse or a teacher, you can still stop in for a pay-what-you-want price or our unlimited monthly memberships at $98 a month. We hope to see you in the studio soon.
We never have to worry about hard water in our home thanks to the Connecticut of San Antonio Quality Water Softener. Get quality water in your home with Connecticut of San Antonio. Call them now at 210-656-PURE or visit ConnecticutSA.com.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings.
Ready to upgrade to the perfect sleep setup? Let Mattress Firm sleep experts guide you to the perfect bed at the Memorial Day sale. Top brands, ideal comfort. Score unbeatable deals on both. They make sleep easy.
Lighting has a bigger impact on your home than you might think. I'm George Salinas with Absolute Power Electrical Contractors. From sleek recessed lighting to modern LED upgrades, we transform your home's interior into something brighter, safer, and more energy efficient. We install lighting that fits how you live today. Call 210-904-1521 or visit absolute-pwr.com to schedule your free estimate. Absolute Power Electrical Contractors, at your service.
An accident or injury can derail your life in an instant, leaving you struggling to pay for medical bills and daily expenses. At Thomas J. Henry, we believe every Texan deserves justice, no matter their financial situation. That's why we offer our no-win, no-fee promise. You don't pay us unless we win your case. We know how difficult recovering from an accident can be. Let us handle your case while you focus on getting better. Thomas J. Henry, the name you know, the firm you trust. San Antonio, Texas.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks. Let the dogs breathe. While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drive. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Pantalones Organic Tequila. Because tequila is fun. Pantalones.
For more information about contests on this station, go to ticket760.com/rules.
Hi there, I'm John O'Hurley. You know our pets are beloved family members. But sadly, though, there are so many dogs that get euthanized every day due to the lack of funding. To give them a chance at adoption, I invite you to support Puppy Food Bank. Thanks to generous donors like you, all of the food sent to pet shelters from Puppy Food Bank never comes with a bill. So please go to puppyfoodbank.org and make a generous, caring $15 donation every month. Your donation will absolutely save pet lives.
Creating content to promote your brand is a 24/7 hustle these days. If you're looking for someone to professionally provide videos, photos, and more, reach out for a free consultation. Hi, I'm Carl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of The Starting Lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer professional live streaming, podcast recording, photos, videos, social media strategy, and more. To learn more, shoot me an email at carlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirCarl. That's Carl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
Your ticket for the best Spurs talk. Back to the starting lineup.
We'll definitely hit on a little bit more Spurs talk when we come back for the start of hour 2, the 7 o'clock hour, moments away here on Ticket 760. But I've been teasing it all show, and I definitely did have some thoughts on the Cavaliers falling to the Detroit Pistons in Game 1 of that second-round series on the Eastern Conference bracket side of things. Pistons reminded me why I believed they could make it to the finals last night. They win 111-101, smothering defense. James Harden, despite having 22 points, was not effective. He goes 6 of 15 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3. He did get to the free throw line 9 times and make all 9 free throws, but Harden had 7 turnovers in that game, and James Harden, it just feels like he averaged 5 turnovers per game in the Toronto series. He has 7 in this one. Just feels like a typical James Harden thing where he is not the player he should be in the playoffs, where he elevates his game. He sort of takes a step backwards. He'll still put up numbers. They just won't be as impressive as they were in the regular season. Donovan Mitchell also had a pretty solid game, but not enough to overcome the onslaught of Pistons, who we talk about them needing a second scorer. It was a second scorer by committee last night. Tobias Harris had 20. Duncan Robinson had 19. Both were stellar in their roles. Cade Cunningham finishes with 23 points, 7 assists, and 2 steals. And I felt like Jalen Duren finally kind of came back to the Jalen Duren we expect. He has 11 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. Very tough defensive anchor. as the Pistons take a quick 1-0 lead in that series. Also, give Dennis Jenkins a shout out. He was a guy who was on a two-way contract earlier this year, and he has become the best player off of the bench for the Pistons after Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart does different things, but the Pistons really had a lot of momentum last night. They will probably continue to have that momentum going into Cleveland. Interesting thing about the Cavaliers, though, they only won home games in that series against Toronto. So they might just not be a good road team, but you have to win road games if you're going to make it to the NBA Finals. And I just get the feeling the Cavaliers don't think, based off last night, they're going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals because it feels like the Pistons have rediscovered their identity. That 7-game series against the Orlando Magic was a bit of a wake-up call. JB Bickerstaff celebrates his contract extension with a pickup of a win in Game 1 in that series. When we come back here on the starting lineup, we're going to talk Spurs, of course. We got to touch on some things happening around the world of sports, including here in San Antonio. UTSA traveled up to Austin to take on Texas. Bryson DeChambeau has a really interesting idea, and it might be the same as most of us. And then the NCAA is going to make some changes to the college football calendar. Talk about all of that and more here on the starting lineup. Carl Schoening on the show with LG, making everything happen. Happy to have you join us here this morning on Ticket 760 and YouTube. Be sure to interact with the show. We'll read your comments in hour 2 if you interact with us here on the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included. Content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today. Call 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating.
Keep celebrating when you bundle and save with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
If you're not digging the content you created on your phone, maybe it's time to upgrade to a content specialist who can make your video sharp and your audio clear. Hi, I'm Carl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of the starting lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer social media content creation to help your brand grow online using professional photo, video, and audio equipment. To learn more, shoot me an email at carlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirCarl. That's Carl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like one-hit wonders. The greatest one-hit wonders of all time. Ones you definitely remember.
Now whip it!
And ones that'll make you say, oh yeah.
This is the story of a girl.
Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search One Hit Wonders, and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
iHeartRadio.
This is Ticket 760, KTKR San Antonio, your home for sports. Guaranteed human from the Window Nation Studios. This is the starting lineup. Here's your host, Carl Schoening.
Hour 2 of the starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Carl Schoening, the voice coming through your speakers. LG, also somebody you'll hear on the starting lineup, making sure everything happening on the YouTube sound of things, on the audio sound of things. LG, it was a fun first hour here. As we start hour number 2, we have Spurs and Timberwolves tonight, game 2. We're going to talk about that right now. Bryson DeChambeau is going to focus on a new plan that will pivot to his own brand. I want to talk about that one, as well as UTSA taking on the University of Texas, as that was a fun one last night in Austin. But we talk so much Spurs here because it is the right time of year to talk Spurs. And LG, I do want to kind of start this hour with a sound that you pulled up, and it was a sound that I saw on Twitter. I didn't waste my time listening to it, but you thought that it was important enough to pull. So I do want to actually spend my time, get an initial reaction here. Kendrick Perkins has been a big supporter of the Spurs all year long. He picked the Spurs to win the championship. He said that the Spurs were the best team in the NBA, and he, like us, has to talk on TV for an undecided amount of time every single day, but he has to make things up to, get through the day and entertain people that are listening. He said something that changed his tune, and it threw me off, but it's Kendrick Perkins. He's always saying things because he has to say things, but he backtracks on the Spurs being his favorites. And I want to hear what his actual explanation is on what you pulled from Kendrick Perkins on ESPN yesterday.
I know I picked the San Antonio Spurs to win the championship, and I'm going to say right now that I was wrong. I was wrong, and I'm going to take all the heat that comes with it because they're not going to win this series. They're not going to win this series. I know when a team has that it factor. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they got that it factor. Those guys are on, I used to call the Miami Heat when they had Jimmy Butler and Bam, and they made their final run, the goons from Dade County. Well, these are the goons from Minnesota because they want all the smoke. I don't care if it's chimney smoke, cigarette smoke, or barbecue smoke. They are running to it. They're playing with a certain type of edge. They're playing with a certain type of tenacity. They have a certain type of spirit that's going on through that locker room. And that damn Jaden McDaniels. We have a lot of great and good wing defenders around the league, but he is the best wing defender in the game. Here's what it's going to come down to, and this is why I'm jumping off the porch right now. Y'all can give me all the heat that y'all want. But the guards of the San Antonio Spurs, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, they are going to struggle tremendously in this series because these guys, the wings and the guard play and the defenders that the Minnesota Timberwolves have, especially Jaden McDaniels, they're not backing down.
So he makes some interesting points there, and Kendrick Perkins is always going to be, I guess, loud and try and have a different opinion and maybe get on the social media feeds with his thoughts. That's a very bold statement. I get where he's coming from on how it's a very scrappy Minnesota Timberwolves team. They did knock off a former NBA champion against the Denver Nuggets, and they are a very experienced team. The Spurs are going from a first-round opponent in the Blazers that were also playing in their first round as an NBA team in the NBA playoffs to a team in the Timberwolves that has made the playoffs the last 5 years, and they've been to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. They are very much a dangerous team in terms of experience, and that's been the whole conversation around the Spurs is the Spurs aren't experienced enough in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada on that point. But I will say that Perk now needs to stick with this. He can't come back if the Spurs go up 3-1. Of course he can come back and say he was wrong, but it's one of those things where it feels a little knee-jerky to me to say that the series is over in one game.
It's real flippy-floppy of him. I mean, all season long, all year long, he's been talking about how the Spurs have the ability to go all the way, and he's been one of the number one supporters of that of believing that the Spurs could take that they were built to go to the championship, and they're performing better than expectations. And for him to flip flop like that after just game one, yeah, I don't know about that.
Game one, and it was a 2-point loss.
Exactly,
and the Spurs had a chance to win it at the end.
Exactly, in a game where De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama had terrible offensive performances, and you're going to flip flop just like that. Talk about a fair weather fan.
Yeah, and I don't think Kendrick Perkins is a fair weather fan. I think he saw a hot take and ran with it, and this is a scorching hot take that he maybe should have pulled out of the oven a little bit earlier and backtracked just a little bit on. He very passionately, as you heard, seemed to think that the Timberwolves have enough of an it factor to come away with the series win. I'm not saying the T-Wolves don't have a chance in this series because they obviously won game one. I really do want to say shout out to Anthony Edwards for coming back so early, playing 25 minutes, having a huge fourth quarter and scoring 18 points in the game. But the Spurs as a team went 10 of 36 from three. Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox combined for 0 for 12. Those are just from behind the three-point line. Those are just two outliers that I don't think you can necessarily say are going to be repeated 4 times in this series. The Spurs might have another bad shooting night, and yes, to Kendrick Perkins' point, there are very good defenders on the Minnesota Timberwolves, but there were good defenders on the Portland Trail Blazers. Timberwolves, slightly better offensive team. They do shoot 38% from three in that first game, but it was a rock fight in that first game. And San Antonio, again, if Wemby goes 2 of 8 and Fox goes 1 of 4 from three, they come away with that victory. So it's not like the Timberwolves did anything to make me think that the Spurs can't win this series. And I'm just really surprised to hear that kind of take from Kendrick Perkins, who was an NBA champion with the Boston Celtics, did spend a lot of time with the Oklahoma City Thunder, so he's gone on deep playoff runs. That was during the Kevin Durant days. And, it's just a little bit of a bummer because the Spurs do have kind of few supporters in the national media, and Kendrick Perkins is from Texas. I was really kind of sad to see that, but it wasn't surprising because just like you and me, LG, Kendrick Perkins likes to talk sports, and he talks sports for a long time over the course of a week, and he needs to say things just to say things. And I'm not saying that this was a manufactured story, but if you remember, Ron Jaworski sort of came out and talked about his time at ESPN where he was almost told to say things just to generate some traction on social media. I want to say one of the things Jaworski had to say that just on a slow news day to fill airtime was that the ESPN said, hey, we'd really like it if you said Colin Kaepernick has a chance to be the best quarterback of all time. So Jaworski came up with some argument, and that ended up being just a news cycle where at the end of the day, they ended up asking Colin Kaepernick, hey, Jaworski said you could be the best player of all time, best quarterback of all time. And, ESPN just has to put out all of these things, much like how you and I have to put them out. But that's just I can't really see how you don't think that this series is a toss-up at the bare minimum. You want to go all in after one game to say that the Timberwolves are going to win this series, and you're moving away from your championship pick. It's
an overreaction.
Yeah.
And if the Spurs blow out the T-Wolves tonight in game 2, does Kendrick Perkins switch his tone again? Does he flip-flop again? Is he just going to go with whoever's got the momentum of the night?
Probably. Yeah, you bring up a good point there. And I feel like the Spurs are posed for a big night right here. They obviously want to bounce back from game 1. They need to get a little bit more offense generated. Both teams only had 45 points at the half. The Spurs didn't go on one of those big offense leads, stemming from defensive runs in that first game. If the Spurs can get on just one of those, I think they create enough separation to hold on to a lead throughout the course of the night. The biggest bummer of game 1, aside from losing the game, is that they lost it on the last Fiesta night of the year. That's such a cool goated court and T-shirt combination that I'm bummed that's not happening.
Can you
again.
explain that to me? Because I thought they could only use the City Edition Fiesta jerseys one time in the court one time during the playoffs. So this would be the second time they've used it.
So I think I misunderstood it, and it was once per series in the first 2 rounds that teams can wear their City Edition jerseys.
Okay, so if the Spurs make it to the Western Conference Finals, they cannot use the City Edition court and jerseys?
According to Dan Weiss, radio play-by-play voice of the Spurs, it seems like that is the case. And
why? That doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. It's the most popular jersey and court combination and T-shirt combination in San Antonio.
You would think for the fact of making money, you would be able to do whatever you want as far as jerseys and courts, and because people like those Fiesta colors here in San Antonio, and I'm pretty sure they're a hot selling item. The jerseys and all the different colored shirts, even though they're free, it might technically not free because you have to buy a ticket to get into the arena to get one of those shirts that they put on the seats there. But that might entice someone to buy a ticket just because they want to be a part of that atmosphere.
Absolutely. And it's not something that it's something that can be overdone. You can't do that every single game.
No.
But I think, once a playoff series, to get the playoff series started, that's a really cool thing that I wish that the NBA would allow, and I enjoy that. But a side note, if I'm not mistaken, something I'll have to look up if I remember to double check, because the Spurs made the playoffs, they'll get an extra jersey that they can wear. So I think playoff teams get 5 jerseys that they can wear throughout the course of the season, and non-playoff teams only get 4 based off of the previous year. So this will be the first year where I think the Spurs will, going into next year, be able to have 5 different jerseys. But the Fiesta theme just fits San Antonio so well. It's very popular in the city, and I don't know the jersey combination they'll be rocking tonight, but it is not the colorful one. That is for sure.
But it will be a blackout night. There will be black Spurs shirts on every one of the seats. I believe they just say "Go Spurs, Go" on them, but there will be some shirts available for the fans in attendance at Frost Bank Center tonight.
I'll be sure to wear black. That'll be a good one. But yeah, going back to the Spurs, it feels like this needs to be a Victor Wembanyama is from the jump heavily involved in the offense. He put up 17 shots from the field, but 8 of those were 3-pointers. So in reality, Wemby only shot 9 shots from inside the 3-point line. And I would like it if Wemby put up 20 shots, but only 5 of them were threes, unless he was really feeling it from 3, which also could be a turnaround in this series. I'm never going to really knock Wemby for putting up a lot of threes, because he can go 0 for 8, 2 for 8, 4 for 8, 6 for 8, 8 for 8 from 3. And of course, I'm going to talk about it, but he has the ability to knock those threes down. Just a tough night for the Spurs in terms of 3-point shooting in game 1. I don't think that'll be something that happens again here in game 2, as the Spurs will, if the Spurs want a chance to win this series, have to shoot better than 28% from 3, but that is definitely one of the lower 3-point percentage nights for the Spurs in that game 1. And I think that if the Spurs can find a way to get to the 37% mark, then they will be really tough to beat, and the Timberwolves might not have the firepower to keep up with a traditional San Antonio Spurs offensive evening. And then also a bounce-back game for De'Aaron Fox. I think both of those two players, the Fox and the Alien, are going to sort of flip the switch and be heavily involved from the jump in the offense. And that's a blessing and a curse for the Spurs sometimes, is that they're so talented in every which way. All 5 starters in that game 1 scored in double digits, and 2 players off of the bench in Keldon Johnson and Dylan Harper also scored in double digits. It's a blessing that all of them can do that, but it's also a little bit of a curse that your 2 best offensive players sort of don't find any real rhythm, and that we'll see how the Spurs handle that, because at the end of the day, I'm just a talking head like Kendrick Perkins. It's what the Spurs are talking about internally that we'll eventually see relayed onto the court. And I get the feeling, I call this a must-win tonight for the Spurs. They will come out with that kind of intensity. The fans are going to be great. And it's another late start, an 8:30 tip on ESPN. And, of course, you can hear it on WOAI. Dan Weiss and I will get Spurs Radio Game Night started at 8 o'clock. Dylan Emery will have the Spurs Countdown pregame show on WOAI at 7:30. And it should be a fun one. LG, you're working a camera. Make sure you get me on the broadcast or the Jumbotron ones. I'll wear my shirt and everything.
All right, you got to get excited. Maybe you should not wear your shirt because the Spurs in-arena team has been shaming people. People who don't wear their shirt, we'll put them up on the Jumbotron with the little lower third or graphic that says, put your shirt on.
Yeah.
Thank you for wearing your shirt.
But you see, I work, so you guys know that you can't. I'm not a journalist. In fact, I'm closer to the coyote than I am to a journalist. But you guys at least respect that media are not supposed to be biased. But I definitely wear a Spurs polo and all those kinds of things. And
yeah, you
I'm
look like an
actively
assistant
pro-Spurs.
coach sometimes with your polos, your button-ups.
Yeah, though it's not a button up, but it does have like 3 buttons up there. Yeah, the collared shirts, whatever you want to call them. I guess that's good branding on polo. They're not necessarily polo shirts, but you know what I'm talking about.
But technically, you do work for the home radio broadcast, so
Yes.
I think it's fair there. If you were independent media, then I'd kind of question it.
Oh, no, definitely journalistic integrity should be questioned if you're independent media, but I am very much hired by iHeartMedia to be pro Spurs, and that's why I think tonight they can win and win big in a bounce-back game, too, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Once again, 8:30 tip-off. Been talking about this all show. I want to get into it when we come back. Bryson DeChambeau, somebody who's part of Live Golf, thinks that he's going to have to pivot into an interesting avenue that all of us would like to pivot in and make money off of. But the 32-year-old golfer, DeChambeau, has a better chance at being successful at it than you and me. And the NCAA might change up how they do the college football schedule, as well as UTSA almost coming up with a win in Austin against the Longhorns last night at Disch-Falk Field. Talk about all that and more on the starting lineup on Ticket 760. Looking for a new form of fitness that's low impact and offers variety? Then you should give yoga a try. I'm Carl Schoening, and you can catch me at Black Swan Yoga San Antonio almost every day. They offer beginner classes for people new to the practice and power classes for the more seasoned practitioners. Black Swan Yoga is a donation-based studio, so no need for a contract or expensive drop-in fee. Follow them on Instagram at Black Swan Yoga San Antonio and check out their daily schedule posts for a class that fits your busy day. Creating content to promote your brand is a 24/7 hustle these days. If you're looking for someone to professionally provide videos, photos, and more, reach out for a free consultation. Hi, I'm Carl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of the starting lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer professional live streaming, podcast recording, photos, videos, social media strategy, and more. To learn more, shoot me an email at carlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirCarl. That's Carl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
Proud to make Pops proud. Proud to be Proud Pops.
I'm Brandon Rackler, co-founder of Proud Pops Plumbing, Air, and Electric.
And I'm Jacob Magby, the other co-founder and also co-brother.
With air conditioning season here already, homeowners are wondering if that old AC that barely made it through last summer is ready to handle this summer.
But no one wants to buy a new AC if the old one can be fixed up. Good as new.
As Pops used to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
To be fair, quite a lot of people say that.
Yeah, but when Pops said it, he meant don't pressure people into an expensive replacement when the AC they have still has a few good years left in the hands of the right serviceman.
Call Proud Pops and we'll assess the situation and give you a Pops proof report with a plethora of pictures that clearly show what needs to be done.
As Pops used to say, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Literally everyone says a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Proud to make Pops proud. Proud to be Proud Pops.
Give us a call and we'll pop in.
Visit proudpops.com.
Thomas J. Henry Law fights even when the insurance company says your claim is worth nothing. Thomas J. Henry doesn't back down. That's how we put over $1 billion in our clients' pockets in just the last 4 years. Visit thomasjhenrylaw.com. Principal Office, San Antonio.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
These days, it's getting harder and harder to trust what you're seeing. Who made it? Is it real?
But with iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners trust their favorite radio host's product recommendations. And if you own or manage a business here or need to drive sales, that trust goes a long way in creating your future customers. Make iHeartMedia a part of your 2026 plan today. Call 844-844-iHeart. Again, that's 844-844-iHeart.
Spring is here, but if you're still feeling exhausted with no energy and no sex drive, it's time to head to Synergenics. 1 in 4 men has low T, and 80% of women experience hormonal imbalance. At Synergenics, the testosterone test is free for men, and women get a $200 discount on their entire hormone test. If it's low, Synergenics will customize a plan for you, and they validate it with periodic labs. Put the spring back in your step. Head to feelgreatlookgreat.com to book your appointment today. That's feelgreatlookgreat.com.
Hey, San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Class of 2026, it's your year. Celebrate the music that fueled late night crams, hallway hangs, and every unforgettable moment with iHeartRadio's Ultimate Class of 2026 playlist. The soundtrack to your senior year and beyond. But we didn't stop there. Whether you graduated in 95, 05, or just last year, we've got a playlist for your class too. Search Class of and the year you graduated on the free iHeartRadio app and relive your glory days, one song at a time.
No B team here. This is the starting lineup with Carl Shoney.
Hour 2 of the starting lineup rolls on Ticket 760 and YouTube. I'm your host, Carl Schoening. On the other side, working things, making everything happen on the YouTube stream and making us sound good over the airwaves is LG. You can get in touch with me on X and Instagram at OnAirCarl. That is Carl with a K, K-A-R-L. At On Air Carl. He is at DJLG210 on his social medias. And on YouTube, you can interact with the show with some comments. We have some people who are jumping in the chat, huh, LG?
Yes, sir. JC the T-Man is up in here. He says, howdy, appreciate the early show via YouTube. Starting my day off right. Thanks for what you do. It hits the right spot. Well, we appreciate you too, JC. Thanks for tuning in so early on YouTube.
We are hardcore sports talk on here. If you want to hear me talk about my life, well, don't have much outside of sports. It is I have a cat, and you have a really cute dog, and we both have cute animals. We should just get them involved in the show.
Should we just hold them? While we do the show,
we'd probably go viral. That would actually be a way to increase our. Hey, all they do is talk sports.
Yep.
We have pets.
Well, you can talk sports with us by jumping into the chat on YouTube at Starting Lineup Live. For those of you listening on my YouTube channel, DJLG210, head on over to youtube.com/at Starting Lineup Live to join the Starting Lineups YouTube channel. And that because we're trying to get our subscribers there. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And eventually, once we hit 500 subscribers, we'll activate the super chats on the Starting Lineup Live. But in the meantime, you can donate to this thing by going to buymeacoffee.com/the starting lineup. And we do have Chris Silva is back in here who donated a coffee, and he's single-handedly supporting our caffeine addiction.
Thank
you, Chris. Yeah, appreciate you listening.
Although we were talking during the break, and that caffeine addiction may actually, that money may go towards breakfast tacos after the show.
Yeah.
I need to be better about eating before the show because I was hungry at like 5:50, and I regretted not just heating something up in that hour and a half that I wake up and just get my body and brain going before the show. So, whether it's buy me a coffee or that ends up being you buy me a taco, we appreciate all of the support. Even just to subscribe on the YouTube, that is free and helps the channel out a lot. I will say something about YouTube, though, LG. It is a very popular pivot for people in any field to try and make money. And are we making money on YouTube? Absolutely not.
Nope.
We are not famous like that. But Bryson DeChambeau is. And for those of you that don't keep up with golf, this is like probably one of the few golf segments we'll have, and I'll keep it quick. But Live Golf is having a little bit of, uncertainty is the word in their future, as Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is maybe not going to be there as long-term as some of the golfers who jumped ship thought that they might. The PGA very mad at those golfers. It includes Bryson DeChambeau. So Bryson DeChambeau, who has won 2 major championships in the PGA, said Tuesday that he is prepared to grow his YouTube channel and play in tournaments that want him. DeChambeau, who's a 32-year-old golfer, which means he might as well be a baby in his golf career, said that he had some conversations with the PGA Tour, but not specifically about what his potential pathway back to his former circuit might look like if Live folds. And here's a quote from him. He says, "I think from my perspective, I would love to grow my YouTube channel 3 times, maybe even more," DeChambeau said while practicing Tuesday in preparation for this week's Live Golf tournament at Trump National Golf Club. He said, "I would love to do a bunch of dubbing different languages, giving the world different reasons to watch YouTube, and I'd love to play in tournaments that want me." And although DeChambeau didn't get into specifics, he suggested that the PGA Tour is prepared to hit him with severe penalties if he wants to come back. And he was one of the big stars that broke away from the circuit in June of 2022 and was among 11 golfers who sued the PGA Tour later that year, alleging it used its monopoly power to unfairly suspend players who joined Live Golf Club. But that was withdrawn from federal lawsuit status in May of 2023. But Bryson DeChambeau, he did have a trend, and I don't remember when it was exactly, but it was sometime in my doom scrolling in the last 2 years where he just did one of those things. Day one of me trying to hit a hole-in-one over my house. A very dangerous thing, but if you're a professional golfer, I suppose, A, you don't mind if you break a couple house windows, and B, you know you're talented enough to try and do this. So he has a putting green in his backyard, LG, and he just chipped balls over his house and tried to make a hole-in-one. And I think he only had one broken window, and that was probably part of the suspense of watching it.
That's impressive. It's kind of like a dude perfect thing with golf.
Yeah, and I think it only took him like a week, and he figured it out. And I think I want to say he got like 5 or 6 tries a day. So it wasn't just one shot and that was the end of the TikTok. And that sort of sparked a lot of people to try and copycat. And it was the copycats that ended up messing up their places of business or what have you.
Golf ball's a dangerous projectile. You got to be careful with those things.
Oh, yeah. Geez. I see some people that just are blind to the thought process. In fact, I believe Caitlin Clark recently went a little viral for being in a celebrity golf tournament. And for whatever reason, this golf tournament that was not professional golfers allowed patrons. Is that what you call golf viewers? People that are at the golf?
Sure. Fans?
The fans at the golf.
The gallery.
The gallery. There you go.
There you go.
They allowed the gallery to line up along the tee box, and of course, Caitlin Clark just shanks one right into the crowd, and that could be very dangerous. You could, lose an eye.
I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often, honestly.
Yeah, well, the professional golfers are so good at golf that it's a little mind-blowing. In fact, that's something that I want to do at some point on this show, definitely in the slower summer months, is find a club that will sponsor me and allow me to go out there with my cheap golf clubs, maybe let me upgrade. I liked golf. It was a little too slow for me when I was younger, but I was decent enough at it naturally that I would like to actually pick it back up again here in my 30s. And my inability to run and sprint like I used to really much points to me being a golf fan moving forward.
I'll join you out on the driving range, or maybe we should start with some mini golf first, just to get our legs under us. I took golf in college. Wasn't very good at it though.
Oh yeah. I took golf in college too at Texas State. They had a nice little golf club there just off of the campus in San Marcos. You're also a Bobcat, LG.
Yes, I am. Shout out to my Texas State alum, Texas State Bobcats out there. I never played that golf course actually. I did take golf, but I only stayed at the driving driving range. I never went to the golf course.
No, I have not actually played a 9-hole round of golf, much less an 18 round hole round.
I imagine
years.
we'd be out there just telling everybody behind us, play through, come on, play through. You don't have to wait for us because we're going to be here way over par on every single hole.
And even if we did a scramble, we would probably, like between the two of us, not have a good shot to pull from.
We would have huge handicaps, that's for sure.
I want to say that there's a new rule in golf at your local place that it's, hey, 8 shots. Even if you don't get the very satisfactory, hey, this is my 10th shot, but I just knocked down a 20-foot putt. No, you get 8 shots and just finish your hole. Move on to the next one.
Well, otherwise you're going to be out there all day long. So, yeah, you got to just move on at some point.
That seems like at least something that you and I should adopt. So we need to look into that. Find a sponsor for us for golf. If you are a golf pro, would love to get some lessons and check out your course. I live right next to a golf course, and I need to maybe just find out where their clubhouse is and see if I can slide in. I need to get my etiquette right, though. I can't be showing up there in basketball shorts and like I'm ready to go do yoga. I need to have my clothing.
Yeah, you should dress like a 1930s golfer. I think that would look cool, like the kind of like those baggy like balloon pants and the weird hat with the ball on top.
That would be a great social media bit. We need to get on those kinds of things to promote the business.
Like
that
an original Scottish golfer. I think that would be a good look for you.
Yeah. Oh, well, now we got to find the Robin Williams bit about golf. The Scots coming up with a sport like golf. It's like I knock a ball into a gopher hole.
It sounds like a Scottish word too. Golf.
For
some reason. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great bit. I'm pretty sure there's only one version of it that is FCC regulated. Otherwise, we'd be bleeping out a whole bunch of that bit. But one day we will play that. But that was very interesting. Bryson DeChambeau, somebody that he will be popular on YouTube. And that's the funny thing about the social media world is there are so many people who have millions of followers and subscribers on various platforms. And you might have never heard of them. They could bump into you and you just be apologies about that. But sorry, I don't know who you are. Move on. And they are people that have quote unquote influence over these millions of people. And that's just such a weird thing to notice here in the social media era about how there are just countless people that have countless followers across several platforms. And Bryson DeChambeau, even if he doesn't get back into the PGA Tour, does seem to have a nice pivot that everybody else has. He's not going to make millions like he would in the PGA Tour off of YouTube, but he'll have a good chunk of income just because he's a famous person who seems to be an entertaining person. I will check out his YouTube as it seems like he already has one established, and that is just his backup plan if Liv folds. So interesting story there. LG, maybe we should try and get Bryson on the show. We got to reach out to his publicist.
Yeah, that would help us with our backup plan. It's crazy that YouTube could be a backup plan now. Who would have thought?
You know, it's really interesting. You and I grew up before social media really took over. I was on MySpace as a freshman in high school, and then Facebook a little bit later in high school. And that was a very interesting time because photos, not really many people even had a photo camera that would be worth uploading to YouTube, to Facebook or what have you.
Yep.
Now, being a professional video game player, being a YouTuber, being some kind of influencer, creating social content. You and I love this. At least this was something that we could grow up with, having a camera and just creating something and publishing it to where anybody can see it. That's a very popular career path for people that are growing up right now.
It's a little too popular and a little misleading as well, because nowadays when the teacher asks the students, what do you want to be when you grow up? A lot of them say, I want to be famous on YouTube. In the early 2000s, it was, I want to be a famous rapper. And it's just like the chances of you doing that are pretty slim. There still are. The ones that make it a career, it's not as many as you think there are.
But to an interesting point there, it's a little more realistic that you could be a good YouTuber than you could be a famous rapper.
And that's true. It's more accessible now, and the fact that cameras are in everybody's pocket, microphones are cheap, lights are cheap. the access is there for everyone. It used to be controlled. You had to be a news guy or a professional photographer and spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to record something. And now, you have all the capabilities in your pocket.
Yeah, you and I are people who operate cinema quality cameras, yet there are people who just have a 4-year-old iPhone that are using the social media tools given to them that are going viral. So Bryson DeChambeau, he could hire an entire crew to follow him around as needed to create some social media content, do all of the editing. It will be a hit if he decides to grow his channel with all the creative ideas that I imagine he can do in the golf world.
And you brought up MySpace earlier,
Oh, yeah.
and we got one comment in here on MySpace. Greg Costanuela's in here, and he says, MySpace, Mulchy the Mulch Fire in Helotes was my friend. I'm not familiar with Mulchy the Mulch Fire in Helotes, but it sounds like it was pretty famous on MySpace, perhaps.
Interesting. Yeah, MySpace was a different time. And if I'm not mistaken, Justin Timberlake bought it briefly. I doubt
Really?
he owns it now, just to try and make it a music platform, because that was how a lot of people discovered music back in the day. You had a song on MySpace, so you go to your profile.
Yeah.
What was it, like a billboard? That was like the original feed. You posted something.
Yeah,
New song.
MySpace taught people how to code. They taught people basic HTML coding.
Because
That's
you had
crazy.
to.
Yeah.
That was how we did it back in the day. Nowadays, you almost have these high-end video editing softwares included in the applications, which is also
That's
really
crazy,
cool. Yeah, and it leads to some very interesting and creative things. Very different generation.
Yeah. Shout out to Greg and the Mulchy the Mulch Fire. It's crazy how, I guess a mulch fire had a page or something like that. It's, in Austin, there's a very famous X account or Twitter account called Evil Mopac.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where they talk about all the traffic on the worst highway or freeway, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty bad if you've ever driven down Mopac in Austin.
Evil Mopac is very appropriate, especially during rush hour, and I-35. It is very much a mess after you get past downtown, heading towards North Austin. They are certainly doing a lot of construction there, just like we are here in San Antonio. Although, at least in Austin, the highways stay open. In San Antonio, it is a crapshoot of whether or not you are going to have an open highway.
And your GPS never gets the update. So
Never.
it'll send you like, oh, exit here. Whoop, exit's closed. Exit here. Exit's closed. Oh, you got to do a turnaround. Nope, you can't even use the highway.
Oh,
It's
it
like,
is.
What?
Especially at night on 1604 out near UTSA, trying to head back where I live in the Stone Oak area. It's... And easily, I should have just gone, I might as well have gone downtown and then rerouted back through 1604 the other side, or, taking 281, because I would rather do that than wait in the access of 1604, which is going to take 30 minutes anyway.
That's true.
Don't get me on this rant. We have one more topic to touch on. UTSA played Texas last night in Austin. They gave a great fight, but the Longhorns do avenge the Super Regional. I want to tell you about that one, and then we wrap up the show with our final thoughts before Game 2 of the Spurs and Timberwolves tonight. This is the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Spurs Insider, brought to you by Methodist Healthcare.
Spurs look to even up their best-of-7 Western Conference Semifinals this evening when they host the Minnesota Timberwolves for Game 2 at the Frost Bank Center. Victor Wembanyama recorded the 7th triple-double in Spurs playoff history and the first since Tim Duncan in 2008. Set a modern-day NBA playoff record with 12 blocks, but the Spurs dropped Game 1 Monday 104-102 after Julian Champagne's game-winning three at the buzzer hit the front of the rim. Coverage tonight begins at 8 on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.
Severe stomach cramps, trouble breathing, back pain? Don't diagnose yourself. For emergency medical care, leave it to the experts at one of our Methodist Healthcare ER locations. When it's an emergency, count on our trusted care teams and convenient locations. Our ERs offer high-quality emergency care 24/7. Choose emergency medical care wisely. Choose Methodist Healthcare. Find a location near you at sahealth.com/ER.
If you're not digging the content you created on your phone, maybe it's time to upgrade to a content specialist who can make your video sharp and your audio clear. Hi, I'm Carl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of The Starting Lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer social media content creation to help your brand grow online using professional photo, video, and audio equipment. To learn more, shoot me an email at carlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirCarl. That's Carl with a K. Let's level up your content together. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The Starting Lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included. Content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the Starting Lineup on Ticket 760.
Have you purchased your Connecticut quality water softener yet? If not, what are you waiting for? You need to take advantage of this great offer right now. Interest-free financing for 12 months and a free reverse osmosis system. So you don't have to pay any interest for a year, and you get great tasting water right there at your kitchen sink. Have you ever opened up the dishwasher and seen a lot of spots and looking like your dishes aren't that clean? That is hard water. Same can go for your clothes when they come out of the washing machine. Same can come for yourself when you get out of the shower. And the money that you spend on a Connecticut quality water softener, you're likely going to save because you're not going to have repair bills trying to fix or replace your appliances, and you're not going to have to call a plumber all the time because of all that bad water going through your pipes. It's an amazing offer. Interest-free financing for 12 months, a free reverse osmosis system. When you purchase a Connecticut quality water softener, it's the best and last water softener you're ever going to own. Call them today at 656-PURE, 656-7873. Love your water. Get a Connecticut quality water softener, ConnecticutSA.com.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
No B team here. This is the Starting Lineup with Carl Schoening.
It is the Starting Lineup on Ticket 760. I'm Carl Schoening in here with LG, and we have just a quick update on UTSA baseball. They have been killing it all season long, but last night they go up to Texas, the University of Texas at Disch-Falk Field. Last time those two teams met was with a opportunity to punch a ticket to the Super Regional. UTSA does win the Austin Regional and goes to the UCLA Super Regional, and Texas, the Texas does come away with a win 11-8, but it was a bit of a wild game. Longhorns jump out to a early 4-0 lead in the first. Diego Diaz got the party started for the Roadrunners with a home run to make it 4-1, and then it was eventually a tied 4-4 game as Andrew Stuckey singled to right and brought in 2 runs in the third inning. UTSA would take a 7-4 lead thanks to a Garrett Gruhl home run to left center that brought in 3. Texas would start chipping away at it, though, 7-5 in the third. And then in the third, they knotted up at 7. Nobody would score until UTSA took an 8-7 lead thanks to a Diego Diaz double to center. which brought in Andrew Stuckey to make it 8-7. But an 8th inning grand slam would be the final score for the Longhorns, as a long ball sent over the left field wall by, I'm just trying to make sure I say this Longhorn's name. I do not know the Longhorns as well as I know the Roadrunners here. Carson Tenney, their designated hitter, launched one, brought in all 4 of his RBIs on a single swing of the bat, and that was the final score in Austin, 11-8. But despite everything, LG, it very much is impressive that UTSA is probably spending easily, I want to say easily, one player on the Longhorns makes about as much as the entire UTSA roster, most likely, and it's very competitively close when they actually play on the diamond. So you have to really applaud Pat Hallmark and everything he does at UTSA. Despite the loss, it felt like a moral victory with how good UTSA played them, and they're probably going to meet up again for much larger stakes later in the season.
I still think it's crazy that we even talk about salaries and players making money, but UTSA has done great with this baseball program over the last few years, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's their most successful team right now is their baseball team.
I would say so. The UTSA baseball team did make it into the NCAA's, I guess, what you would call the super regional round, which would be sort of like their field of 16, the Sweet 16, and the winner of those made it to Omaha. So they were just shy of making the equivalent of the Elite 8. The women's basketball team, very successful. Karen Aston didn't have the best regular season this year, but they won the tournament. UTSA soccer is pretty good. Derek Pittman, we're going to have to talk soccer and bring Coach Pittman on. His women play a very fun brand of soccer, Park West. You and I have been out there, and I enjoy calling those games.
It's a nice stadium too, Park West. I have a good time out there.
Yeah, Park West is a great spot just off of UTSA campus. I think officially owned by the city. It's not actually UTSA's property, but they obviously collaborate on that, and UTSA owns some buildings on that plot of land. But baseball is definitely the most successful sport, but I do think that there are a couple sports that are right there, but UTSA baseball has probably the national recognition compared to all the other sports. I would say that they are known because they were ranked earlier this season. A little bit of a skid, but they're receiving votes, and they will probably win the American. They are first place in the American. They next up are going to Memphis for their weekend series in the American. Good luck to Pat Hallmark and the Roadrunners. We're going to get our final thoughts and predictions for Game 2 between the Timberwolves and the Spurs when we come back on the starting lineup. Keep it tuned in to Ticket 760.
Hey, San Antonio sports fans. Imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned in to Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Hey guys, this is Jamie from Black Swan Yoga San Antonio, and in honor of Appreciation Week, we are offering free yoga classes for teachers and nurses at Black Swan Yoga all week long till Sunday. This is our small way of saying thank you for the dedication and compassion you bring to our community every day. Just drop by any of our 3 locations, downtown, the Vineyard, or Alamo Ranch, with your medical badge or your school ID and enjoy your choice of class. Black Swan Yoga is donation-based, so if you're not a nurse or a teacher, you can still stop in for a pay-what-you-want price or our unlimited monthly memberships at $98 a month. We hope to see you in the studio soon.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-200-1966, 800-200-1966, or biglou.com.
Car wreck? What happens next? Thomas J. Henry knows you deserve to get compensated for your injuries. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Visit thomasjhenrylaw.com. The name you know, the firm you trust. Principal Office, San Antonio.
On Plus nicotine pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus nicotine pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
$3,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. Earn cash back with Upside just by filling up your tank. Download Upside now and start earning easy cash back. The more you use Upside, the more you get. Use promo code LIST to get an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's promo code LIST for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Summer is on its way, and it's going to be super hot again. You can count on that. If your air conditioning system isn't up to par, or if you need a new one, it's time to call Manuel & Sons. At Manuel & Sons, right now, you can get a 1.5 to 5-ton Frederick 15-seater for just $77.95. Need a spring tune-up? Right now, only $89. Certified technicians, local company, someone actually answers the phone. If your system is struggling, call today, 549-4839, 549-4839, manuelandsons.com.
Creating content to promote your brand is a 24/7 hustle these days. If you're looking for someone to professionally provide videos, photos, and more, reach out for a free consultation. Hi, I'm Carl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of the starting lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer professional live streaming, podcast recording, photos, videos, social media strategy, and more. To learn more, shoot me an email at carlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirCarl. That's Carl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
The takes are hot, even before the sun comes out. Back to the starting lineup.
Starting lineup wrapping up here on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Carl Schoening. LG is monitoring everything happening on our YouTube feed, including your comments. You can get involved in the show by going to YouTube on this Starting Lineup Live. Or is it just Starting Lineup Live, LG?
No article, just Starting Lineup Live on all these social medias, especially right here on YouTube, where you can jump into the chat. And Greg's back up in here. He says UTSA needs super chats to donate to a new baseball field. Well, they've made some improvements, Greg.
They have, and I have been trying to. When I was the voice of the UTSA ESPN Plus broadcast, I had been trying to get them to do sort of creative social media stuff on YouTube. However, I think because I was a freelancer and not an actual employee, they sort of kept me at arm's length. They appreciated me while I was there, but they also turned down a lot of my ideas that I thought were moneymakers, including YouTube. And yeah, if we were streaming this on YouTube for UTSA, then I'm sure that we could probably fund and raise a little bit of money.
A little bit.
Yeah, what they really need are rich donors that don't exist. Because UTSA, if I'm not mistaken, LG, maybe you know the exact year, it only really got started as a university in the 1970s. And it very much blew up in the last 25 years. And I don't think that they have the big oil money that a lot of these universities in Texas do, that they have to keep up with, like a University of Texas, a Texas A&M, and those alumni bases are even bigger and richer and more diverse ways
even
than
Texas
anybody.
State and San Marcos has huge donors that help support their athletic department. They have nice facilities there. But UTSA's baseball field has improved. They did get a new press box a couple seasons ago, and they've just installed a brand new video board out there in the outfield. So it's up and coming. So, hold tight. I wonder if so the reason it's called the bird bath is what I heard is because the outfield would flood after games.
Oh, interesting.
And it has a drainage problem. So hopefully they can figure that out.
It feels like, in a weird way, UTSA started their athletic program without knowing exactly how big college sports would become, big business at least, how it would become. The football team very much lucked into the Alamo Dome. The Alamo Dome is a top 50 college football venue, in my opinion, and UTSA will never need or probably have the funds to build an appropriate football stadium that would be anywhere near as good as the Alamo Dome. But I digress. I think UTSA athletics as a whole, with the coaching staffs they have, are in a really good spot. I like their administration, but what they lack are the donors that are not going to pop up out of nowhere. So they really need the city to rally behind them. And even then, you just don't have enough money that probably would beat somebody who can just sign a $10 million check like it's nothing. I don't think that they have any of those guys around.
And they should take advantage of the Alamo Dome for as long as they can, because I love going out to those games. The tailgate party is even crazier. I'd say the UTSA tailgate situation is one of the best I've ever been to.
I would like to go out. I've always been there sort of professionally, where I want to show up and have fun. And another time, I just have so many things going on over the fall that I never have had a chance to go out there as a fan. Been there several times as sort of a professional manner, but I need to get invited to a tailgate. Now that we're on Ticket 760, when Andy's working the game, maybe I just go out there and have a little bit of fun. We'll talk about that. Final thoughts real quick, LG. Spurs win tonight, bounce back. What needs to happen?
Spurs win tonight. They win big tonight.
Spurs, I think, as a team, come away with a 40% three-point shooting night, and Victor Wembanyama has a big night inside the three-point line. That's my prediction. Spurs in a what I call must-win Game 2 tonight, 8:30 start on ESPN. We appreciate y'all joining us here on the starting lineup on Ticket 760. We'll talk about Game 2 tomorrow for sure. Y'all have a good rest of your Wednesday, everybody.
This is San Antonio FC Insider, brought to you by Methodist.
San Antonio FC announced a change in structure to their academy, parting ways with the longtime local San Antonio club, Lone Star SC. Academy director Juan Lamadrid sincerely thanked them for their partnership, which helped the academy build its foundation. Under full club leadership, the academy can continue to grow with a clear focus on long-term player development and a fully integrated pathway to pro. In the club's first 10 seasons, more than 40 academy members have integrated into the first team environment. That's today's SAFC Insider. I'm Katie Goodman.
Severe stomach.